Welcome to this very special edition of the Market Review, where we bring you key developments in the financial and capital markets as they affect the economy. Today, across the world, is being celebrated as International Women's Day, and our conversation is around breaking the gender bias in the Nigerian financial and capital market. With me to have this conversation is Mrs. Tope Omojokun. She's the President, Fund Managers Association of Nigeria. Nice to have you on the program.
Thank you very much, the Portia team. Thank you for having me here today. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we begin this conversation, let us take a recap of market stories from last week. The African Development Bank recently signed a grant agreement for an amount of $400,000 with the Depositaire Central Banque de Règlement of West African Monetary Union to modernize the regional financial market infrastructure. Also, as part of ongoing activities aimed at improving business operations and processes at Nigeria Exchange Limited, the board of the exchange approved a new strategy centered on digital transformation, strategic partnerships, and customer-centric solutions. This will ensure that the BOAS becomes a leading organization with a focus on deepening the capital market, diversifying its products and services, enhancing retail participation, and delighting its stakeholders across board. And also last week, as part of the International Women's Day celebration, the Nigerian Exchange Limited hosted female CEOs at the BOAS to perform the digital closing gong ceremony. We go on a break, and when we return, we'll continue this conversation.
Tune in to Web TV Day to stay up to date and informed on the financial market, personal finance, and more. We have got you covered with all your favorite TV shows, economy and politics, market review, women's series, millennial talk, Islamic Finance Weekly, The Brief, exclusive interviews, events, and we keep you up to date on all the updates in the financial market with the Market Opening Gong. Watch premium content. Watch Web TV. Same news, different perspective.
Welcome back. If you're joining us, it is the Market Review Show, and our conversation is around breaking the bias in the financial and capital markets. That's breaking the gender bias in the financial and capital market. And I have Mrs. Tope Omojokun. She is the President of the Fund Managers Association of Nigeria as my guest. Let's first begin with the fact that the value of gender inclusion to economic growth. How critical is bridging that gender gap to the global economy?
Well, thank you very much. I mean, there are various empirical studies, that have shown that supporting a stronger role for women is very, very crucial. And, empowering women, is a key enabler in reducing poverty, in stimulating economic growth, and, ensuring sustainable development. Now, a report by the World Bank, I believe in 2003, reported that promoting, gender equality, is essential as a component for effective economic and human development strategy. In addition, a power parity report by McKinsey in 2015, reported that pursuing gender equality would add up to about $28 trillion, or about 26% to annual global GDP in 2025. So the competency of women in modern era, you cannot rule it out. Women are participating in politics, in economic decisions, and other spheres of, human endeavor. And by instinct, we are incubators. We have the natural ability to enlarge and multiply whatever we're given. And so granting women greater opportunities for economic and political participation, is most likely going to produce a very, very positive ripple effects in global economy.
Very, very important. I like the contribution that you will make to the global economy if the gender gap is bridged. Quite highly informative. Now, on breaking the bias for gender participation in the Nigerian financial market, what are the key areas you see that needs to be addressed?
Well, thank you once again. In terms of financial access and inclusion, there are several industry reports, for instance, that have shown that women, remain significantly excluded when compared to men in Nigeria. For example, the FINA, in its access to financial services, in Nigeria 2020 survey noted that about 40% of adult Nigerian women, translates to about 21.3 million, were remain financially excluded. And, if you compare this figure, with that of the men, which is about 32%, you will agree that, within the same period, you will agree that that's slightly higher. And that same report also noted that, 2 out of every 5 Nigerian women are financially vulnerable, and more or less that financially coping. So the areas that I think need to be addressed, I must say, for women to participate more, would be areas around, one, low income, the income, of women. And the fact is that, look, about the survey showed, one other survey had shown that, for instance, about 17.7 million out of about 53 Nigerian women earn 15,000 naira and below. Staggering figures, aren't they? Well, women with these low levels of income, are about 8 times likely to be, excluded in financial services, in enjoying, financial services. So there is need to economically empower women to support their families, and to take advantage of the opportunities that are even in the capital market. They are not even in financial, in the banking space. Talk less of you now saying, oh, how do they take opportunities in the capital market? Another critical aspect is education. There are social and cultural biases, within our society. Women still significantly, attain lower educational levels than men. And according to FINA as well, women with lower education are 7 times more likely to be excluded. So I believe that a lot can still be done in terms of advocacy for educating, for instance, the girl child. It's very important for us to go back to these foundational issues. Trust is another issue. Obviously, with lower education levels, how do you then see, those particular women that you had touched on, for instance, having trust in a formal financial system? You will find that lacuna, if not addressed, the educational gap, then you find that the trust element obviously will be impacted negatively. So it's very, very important for sensitization to be done, regulations, to be put in place to endear women, and boost confidence in that space. Likewise, you find that a lot of women as well are, they are situated or located in rural areas, and typically with that also, it portends, an implied financial inclusion. I know a lot is being done, and I'm sure that possibly, I will touch on that later. But it's very important, like I said, that financial inclusion, needs to be driven, especially within the rural areas, and to look for us as players in this space, to look beyond immediate profits, so that we can incorporate women. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's very key that financial empowerment is key for women, and the rural areas are the touch points for really driving this. Now, you talked about the fact that we'll go on to the conversation. So let's have it now. How we assess efforts by the key financial and capital market institutions and regulators like the Central Bank of Nigeria, the Securities and Exchange Commission, and the Nigeria Exchange Limited, which I just mentioned last week, allowed female CEOs, some of them, to carry out the digital gong closing ceremony to mark the Women's Day. How do they assess the encouragement of gender participation in the market? What can they do more to support this cause?
I must really commend the CBA, the SEC, and other market regulators on their efforts so far in terms of financial inclusion for women and promoting that cause. In terms of institutions that have done so far, I recall sometime in 2020, September 2020, virtually launched the framework for advancing women's financial inclusion. And now that framework identified 8 strategic imperatives that will help Nigeria to develop all-inclusive financial sector in Nigeria and close that gender gap that had been mentioned earlier in our discourse, by 2024. That framework is in line with the commitment that the CBN made to the Alliance for Financial Inclusion, AFI's NRO action plan, which allows or aims more or less to have global financial inclusion gender gap other initiatives that they've launched, by the government includes some, financing to micro and small, medium-scale enterprises, to help bridge some financial gap. And this was a mark for about 60%. They mark about 60%, I think, of the funds in that fund to women or women-owned enterprises. And the special intervention for the working group, also, it seeks to address issues relating to financial inclusion in women, youths, persons with disabilities, amongst others. Now, in terms of the impact of these initiatives so far, the CBN disclosed that about 134,000 women have accessed the fund, and about 9.5 billion or so have been disbursed to over 3,600 women, majorly in the agribusiness space, right? So you have women that have significantly benefited from these interventions, and many of them are in the textile sector, so not just agri, and other, the real sector, and also commercial agri credit schemes. So I think going forward, the push will be for government and regulators to monitor and effectively implement the initiatives with a view of ensuring that the purpose for which those initiatives were launched, they remain undefeated. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And from the fund manager's perspective, the FMAN, how is it helping to empower women and girls through the instrumentality of the financial markets?
Yes, thank you. I mean, we are an independent, non-governmental, non-political, non-profit-making organization, and basically we're established to promote the activities of fund management in Nigeria. To drive our mission, one of our focus, our ethos is education, investment education. In view of this, we constantly seek to empower women, girls by leveraging our platform to educate them on the practice of fund management generally. We even go as far as going to schools, federal government colleges, state-owned schools, to educate them, catch them young. And some of the schools are even, female schools only. So in a way of trying to get them to be more financially responsible from younger ages. And over the years, we have collaborated with relevant agencies like the CFA, like CFA Nigeria, SEC, CBN, and other relevant agencies to accomplish our goal. In addition, the fact that it's pertinent for us as an association to have an enabling environment for women to thrive. And interestingly, we have the president and the vice president of this association are female, right? So even the way we are as an association, it is such that it's more or less to promote, as it were, gender participation, especially with the woman, with the female gender. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Ma. And let me just give you 30 seconds as we wrap up. Are there innovative products on ground already that FMAN has evolved to help improve this women participation in the financial market? It's nice to know that the president and the vice president are women.
Exactly. But FMAN is an association of professional fund managers licensed by the SEC. So we do not have innovative products as an association, but our member companies, they have some women-focused collective investment schemes, right, that are being managed by our fund managers, and they are to encourage and provide needed education to women, who seek to invest in permissible assets, because there are permissible asset classes, given the fact that we are licensed fund managers. But there, of course, a lot needs to be done in the area of research to widen the baskets of offerings by fund managers, within the context of gender inclusion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Tope Omojokun, for the time, President of the Fund Managers Association of Nigeria. It's great to know that women are having a space in the Nigerian financial market, but there's room for more improvement and deeper participation. Definitely. Nice to have this conversation with you.
Thank you very much.
Mrs. Tope Omojokun, the President of Fund Managers Association of Nigeria, was a guest today on the Market Review, discussing breaking the gender bias in the Nigerian financial and capital market as we mark International Women's Day 2022. That'll be all for this edition of the Market Review. If you have comments, questions, suggestions, and ideas on how we can break the gender bias in the Nigerian financial and capital market, please send them to Otto Abasiekong at prochange.com. Also join our website, www.prochange.com, to get the latest news, articles, and stories this period, particularly as we mark the Women's Day. We have them covered as it has to do with the financial markets. Engage us on our social media platforms displayed on the screen. Don't forget that you need to be informed to make the right investment decisions. Thank you for watching, and keep discussing the financial and capital markets because they create wealth and economic opportunities.